Hey, my name is Shannon. I'm the owner of Prevail Gym, and each week I'm answering questions that I get from you guys. This week we're talking about building muscle. So I get this question from people all the time. How do I actually build muscle? It's really simple. That doesn't mean that it's easy, but today we're going to break down what it actually takes to build muscle. There's 3 big factors that we're going to go over. But first, we're going to talk about plants. I'm all about analogies because I feel like they're easier to understand. So I want you guys to imagine planting a seed. You're going to plant some seed. It's got soil, it's got sunlight, it's got water, okay? When we plant that seed, we know that we need those 3 things, and they all need to be working, and they all need to be working together in order for that plant to grow. But imagine that you've got the great soil, you've got the great sunlight, but you're only giving it 80% of the water that it needs. Yes, that plant is going to grow, but it's never going to grow to its fullest potential because it doesn't actually have everything that it needs. It doesn't have enough of it. Your body works kind of the same way. So we're going to break down what those 3 things are for your body. So step number 1, you need to eat enough. And I think this is the biggest misconception, the biggest challenge that people have when it comes to building muscle. You have to eat enough because just like the plant, if you're only giving your body 80% of what it needs, it will grow because it has other things working in its favor, but it will never grow to its fullest potential. You have to give it 100% of the water, and actually you have to give it more than that. So a lot of people are in this calorie deficit mindset because that's what needs to happen when we lose fat. But if we're trying to build muscle, we have to be at least at maintenance, getting enough protein in, or a calorie surplus. I got a little excited about that. A calorie surplus, meaning you are consuming more calories than what your body is burning. You're giving your body what it needs to grow. Step number 2 is progressive overload. So progressive overload, again, with my analogies, I like to do this because it's a visual. So this is your muscle, okay? You have all these muscle fibers that are like tightly wound, and they're strong and they're healthy. When we exercise and we put more load on our muscles than what they can handle, they tear. We have these little micro tears in our muscles. Then to repair those micro tears, to get rid of the soreness, we consume protein. So we eat our protein, whoop, it repairs. And then because we are fueling our body with enough food, it builds. So we're going to tear, repair, build, tear, repair, build. Okay. If we're not tearing, if we're not pushing our muscles past what they can handle, you will not build muscle. So what this looks like in the gym, if you are doing a movement and you're constantly picking up the same dumbbell or the same weight on the barbell or kettlebell, that's not overloading your muscles over time. You have a couple of options. So number 1, you can go heavier. If you go heavier, make sure that you're doing that without pain. The second option is to add reps. So if you're in a class or a scenario where it's already written for you, you don't necessarily have to do the exact amount of reps that are written in that workout. That's a guide. Hey, this is going to work for everybody. If you don't feel comfortable enough going up in weight, add a couple extra reps. So here's a perfect example. Simple example. Let's say you're doing a dumbbell goblet squat. You're just holding a dumbbell here and squatting. You're going to do 3 sets of 10. In week 1, you're going to use a 20-pound dumbbell. In order to overload your muscles the next week, you can do 3 sets of 10 with a 25. Or you can do 2 sets of 10 with a 20, and then on your last set, bump up to the 25. But if you're not quite ready for that, stay at the 20-pound dumbbell, do 2 sets of 10, and then on your last set, do 15 reps. That is overloading your muscles. The last thing I'll say about progressive overload is how I treat it myself and what I recommend for people. So you don't always need to be going 100% of the time. You need to give your body a chance to recover. And so you don't have to go to failure all the time. You don't need to be dropping whatever weight you're trying to pick up. So this is what I recommend. Your last 1 to 2 reps on your last 1 to 2 sets, you should be straining. You should really be struggling to pick that weight up or to push that weight away. It should be very challenging. If you're getting to that, you are likely pushing what your muscles can handle. And that's where we're getting those micro tears. And then we eat and we rebuild from there. If you are just moving the weights, you're like, I got this, I could do this shit all day. Okay, you're not pushing yourself. So if building muscle is something that is important to you and it's a goal for you, you need to be pushing yourself to the point where you are straining. Also, last thing I promise, there's something called reps in reserve. So that means if I needed to, I could pump out a couple more reps here. So when you're pushing yourself on those last 1 to 2 reps, on your last 1 to 2 sets, you still need to have 2, maybe 3 reps in reserve. So we're not failing. We're not always failing. There's a time and a place for that. But you need to have a couple reps in reserve. Like if I had to, I could do a couple of more. So it's finding that sweet spot where it's not too easy, but you're not failing with your last reps. Okay, so step number 1 is eat enough. Step number 2 is progressive overload. Step number 3 is very simple. It's hydration. Your muscles have water in them. They should have water in them. So how can you build it if it doesn't have what it needs? You need to be drinking enough water. And now that we're getting into the hot summer months, you need to be drinking your electrolytes. Electrolytes are not really going to help you build muscle, but it's going to help your body retain the things that it needs to function properly. When you're functioning properly, you can do more in the gym. It's all interconnected together. So a good goal with hydration is drinking half of your body weight in ounces and try to get your electrolytes in at least once a day. Last thing we're going to talk about here is calories. This can be something very complicated, and I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. First of all, we need to understand something called your basal metabolic rate, or your BMR for short. That number is how many calories your body burns to survive at rest. That is what we call your couch calories, couch potato calories, where you're doing nothing. So based on how much muscle you have in your body, the more muscle you have, the higher that number is going to be, which means the more muscle you have, the more calories your body burns just to survive. So for simple math purposes, let's say my BMR is 1,500 calories. So doing nothing all day, my body's going to burn 1,500 calories because of how much muscle I have, and that's what it takes for my body to stay alive. From there, we add in 2 additional kinds of calories. Number 1 is your active calories or your exercise. And so for, again, simple math, let's say that's 300 calories. So I'm at 1,800. And then we have something called NEAT. Okay, we're going to keep this simple as well. That's movements. All the movements that we have throughout the day. It's non-exercise, non-activity. It's just stuff that we do with our hands or when we're eating. Our body needs energy to digest food. Like your body just needs energy to function in general. So we have to take what it needs to survive, what we burn during exercise, and then all the other things that we do if we're chasing kids around all day long. So we add all of those together, and let's say I'm at 2,000 calories. For me, I call that my new zero. So my zero is now 2,000, which means I need to figure out what I want to do. If I'm going to build muscle, I need to be above 2,000 calories. If I'm trying to lose body fat, I need to be below 2,000 calories. But this is my zero. What am I going to do from here? And that's based on your goal. So to be in a caloric surplus, I would add 200 to 300 calories to my new zero, which is 2,000. So I would need to eat 2,200 to 2,300 calories every day if I'm wanting to build muscle. If I'm wanting to lose fat, I may take 200 to 300 calories away from that. Also, if you're building muscle, that BMR number is going to change. It's going to go up, which means your caloric intake will probably change. So again, we're going to just keep things simple. You need to make sure that you're eating enough, and you need to understand what enough is for you. And that's not just based on your weight, that's based on your body composition. So overall takeaways, building muscle takes time and consistency and being very intentional. You have to make sure that you are eating enough calories. You have to be in a caloric surplus, maintenance or a caloric surplus, and you have to be there consistently. Your body needs all of the things so it can build. Secondly, we have to be doing progressive overload. You have to be putting more volume and intensity on your muscles week after week in order for it to build. If not, we're never going to have those micro tears, and we're never going to repair and then rebuild from there. And then third, very simple, we have to have enough water. Our muscles have water in them, therefore we need to be consuming water and our electrolytes. It sounds like a lot of pieces have to be moving at once, but just like with everything, you have to build a system. Once you build a system, you work it. Okay? Just work the system, and over time your body is going to build muscle. So it's possible, it's doable, it's simple, not always easy. If you guys ever need help or want to figure out what should I be eating, what does progressive overload look like for me, what are good electrolytes to take, I would love to sit down and talk with you guys. But in the meantime, get out there, keep prevailing, and go after those goals.